The average American household is carrying over $90,000 in debt. Credit cards, car loans, buy now, pay later plans, debt stacked quietly beneath the surface of everyday life. And yet, in 2024, global spending on luxury goods hit record highs. According to a McKinsey report, the personal luxury market surpassed $360 billion. Sales of premium SUVs, designer accessories, and high-end travel didn't slow down. They accelerated. So here is the question that should stop you mid-scroll. How is everyone affording this? Because if tens of millions of people are maxed out, if the Federal Reserve's own data shows that nearly 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing, then who exactly is buying all of it? And more uncomfortably, why does it feel like it's everyone you know? You've seen it. A colleague posts a vacation that looks like it cost more than your rent. A neighbor pulls into the driveway with a car you know their salary shouldn't support. Someone you went to school with is dining at restaurants you've quietly written off as out of reach. And instead of questioning the image, you've questioned yourself. You've done the math on your own life and felt it come up short. That slow, low-grade feeling that you're somehow behind, somehow missing something, somehow not keeping up, that feeling is the subject of this entire conversation. Because that feeling isn't weakness. It isn't envy. It isn't a personal failure of discipline or ambition. It is a predictable, documented psychological response to a financial illusion that has been built slowly, structurally, and at scale around all of us. The gap between what people spend and what they actually have has never been wider. And the gap between how rich people look and how rich they actually are has never been more carefully constructed. That's exactly why I called this, why everyone around you looks richer than they actually are. You probably didn't arrive here because of a statistic. You arrived here because of a feeling. Maybe it crept in while you were scrolling. Someone's beach house rental, a business class seat, a kitchen renovation that looks like it belongs in an architectural magazine. You didn't know their salary. You didn't know their credit card balance. You just saw the image, and something in you quietly registered, they have more than me. And then you kept scrolling, carrying that weight into the rest of your day without ever naming it. Or maybe it wasn't a screen. Maybe it was a coworker who showed up in a car that made you do the math on what they must be earning, and the numbers didn't add up. Maybe it was a friend whose vacation photos kept coming, week after week, from places you've bookmarked and quietly moved to the someday folder. Maybe it was a neighbor whose contractor vans have been parked outside for 3 months, while you've been postponing a repair you keep telling yourself you'll budget for next quarter. The details are different for everyone. The feeling is nearly identical. It sits somewhere between inadequacy and confusion. You're working, you're managing, you're making real, deliberate choices about your money. And yet, somehow, everywhere you look, everyone seems to be operating on a different financial frequency. Easier, looser, further ahead. And the most corrosive part isn't the comparison itself. It's the private conclusion you draw from it, that maybe you're the one who's behind. You're not behind. You're being shown a performance. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why this illusion exists, what's actually constructed behind it, and why, once you see the mechanism clearly, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Not as a comfort, not as a reason to stop caring about your finances, but as a way of finally seeing the game for what it is, so you can stop measuring your real life against someone else's carefully edited one. Here is what nobody tells you about the images you're comparing yourself to. An entire industry exists to produce them. Not by accident, not as a side effect, by design, with extraordinary precision and at a scale that would be difficult to fully comprehend if you sat down and mapped it out. Think about what has quietly normalized in the last decade. Buy now, pay later platforms, now used by over 360 million people globally, according to WorldPay's financial report, have turned four-figure purchases into four small installments that feel closer to a subscription than a debt. Lease culture has made it possible to park a $60,000 vehicle in front of a house you're renting for a monthly payment that sounds almost reasonable in isolation. Revolving credit has removed the old friction between wanting something and having it. And every single one of these products was engineered with one core insight: that people will spend significantly more when the cost is spread thin enough that it stops feeling like a cost at all. The goal was never to make you wealthy. The goal was to make you look it and keep you paying for the privilege of the appearance long after the moment has passed. Consider this. A 26-year-old finances a Rolex, $8,000 at 24% APR, through a luxury goods payment plan that didn't exist 5 years ago. The watch arrives on a Thursday. By Friday morning, it's on his wrist in a photo. Soft lighting, caption that reads, "The grind pays off." The post gets 400 likes. Nobody in those 400 knows about the monthly payments. Nobody knows the interest. They just see the watch, feel the familiar, quiet sting, and carry it into their own weekend. This is what I call the wealth illusion economy, a system where looking rich has become dramatically cheaper and logistically easier than actually being rich. And social media isn't a passive backdrop to this system. It's the distribution engine that makes it run. Let me make this concrete. Your neighbor just finished a full kitchen renovation. We're talking quartz countertops, custom cabinetry, an open plan layout that looks like it was pulled directly from a design blog. You've walked past their house and felt it. That low hum of inadequacy directed at your own kitchen. The one with the original tile from 2009. The one you've been meaning to update and keep deprioritizing. They upgraded. You didn't. The story seems obvious. Except here is what you are not seeing. They pulled a $60,000 home equity loan at 8.5% interest. Their monthly payment is $740. By the time that loan is fully repaid, they will have paid $89,000 for a $60,000 kitchen. The countertops are real. The cost is invisible. And while they photograph their Sunday mornings in that beautiful new space, you have been quietly overpaying your mortgage principal every month, building equity, reducing interest, owning more of your home with each payment. Nobody posts about that. Nobody double taps a mortgage statement. But the math is entirely on your side. Now, picture the former classmate who seems to travel every 6 weeks. Bali, the Amalfi Coast, Tokyo. The photos are genuinely stunning. Golden hour, boutique hotels, food that looks like art. You've watched the feed and felt the distance between their life and yours expand in real time. They move through the world freely. You took one trip last year. What you don't see? $18,000 in credit card debt. A Chase Sapphire balance that hasn't been paid in full in 14 months. A points hacking hobby that began as discipline and quietly became a lifestyle funded almost entirely by revolving credit. You took one trip last year. You paid cash. You came home with memories, a zero balance, and a net worth that moved in the right direction. They came home to a minimum payment due. The feed never shows that part. There is a pattern I have noticed across every genuinely wealthy person I have spent real time around. And I want to be precise here, because I don't mean people who looked wealthy. I mean people whose net worth I later learned and felt genuinely surprised by. The pattern is almost universal. They were quiet about it. Not humble in a performative way, genuinely, structurally quiet. They didn't bring it up. They didn't signal it. They weren't driving what you'd expect, wearing what you'd expect, or living in a way that announced itself. The wealthiest individual I personally knew in my mid-20s drove a 10-year-old Camry with a cracked passenger mirror. He wore the same 3 or 4 rotation of unremarkable clothes. He never picked up a check to impress anyone, and he never talked about money. Not his own, not anyone else's. I found out years later, through a mutual friend, that he had been quietly maxing out tax-advantaged accounts since his mid-20s, had a brokerage account well past the 7-figure mark, and owned his home outright. Nothing about his daily presence would have told you any of that. That was entirely the point. A brokerage account sitting at $200,000 makes no sound whatsoever. It doesn't park in your driveway, it doesn't photograph well, it doesn't generate a single like. A leased Range Rover, by contrast, announces itself every time it moves and costs its owner somewhere between $800 and $1,200 a month for the privilege of that announcement. One of these is an asset, quietly compounding in the background. The other is a liability dressed as a status signal. Which brings me to the line I want you to carry out of this video, because I think it reframes everything that comes before it and everything that comes after. Loud money is usually borrowed money. Read that again. The loudest financial signals in your environment are almost never indicators of wealth. They are indicators of access to credit.
I want to tell you something I've had to learn more than once, because the first time I understood it intellectually, and the second time I actually felt it. Envy is almost always based on incomplete information. You are comparing your full experience, your private doubts, your trade-offs, your invisible compromises, against someone else's curated exterior. And that is not a fair comparison. It was never designed to be. The colleague who pulls into the car park every morning in an S-Class, think about what you actually know about his life. 70-hour weeks, most of them. Evenings that disappear into his laptop before his kids are asleep. 3 years without a real holiday. Not because he can't afford one, but because the machine he built to afford the car requires him to stay inside it indefinitely. One redundancy notice away from a financial structure that collapses faster than it was built, because almost none of it is owned. It is all serviced. The car looks like a rival. From the inside, it often feels like a sentence. Or consider the influencer with the glass-walled apartment, the one whose location tags read like a travel itinerary, whose aesthetic is so consistent it feels like a brand. Because it is. She pays $4,800 a month in rent to maintain a backdrop. She has no savings cushion worth naming. And beneath the composure of every post lives a very specific kind of anxiety. The performance cannot stop, because the performance is the income, and the income is already spent. What photographs as freedom is, in practice, one of the more precarious ways to live. I have envied people whose full story would have changed everything about that envy. Most of us have. The grass is not greener on the other side. It is greener where you are honest about what you actually want, and then patient enough to water it quietly, without needing anyone to notice while you do.
My honest thoughts? The feeling that you're behind, that low, persistent hum of not enough that follows you through Instagram and into your morning and back out again, that feeling is not a character flaw. It is not a symptom of weakness or ingratitude or poor discipline. It is a completely predictable response to an environment that was deliberately constructed to produce it. You are supposed to feel this way. The system only works if you do. But here's what I need you to actually sit with. Behind to what, exactly? Whose timeline are you measuring yourself against? Whose definition of progress did you agree to and when? Because if you trace that feeling all the way back, past the scroll, past the comparison, past the specific image that triggered it,
you almost never find a standard you consciously chose. You find one that was handed to you by an algorithm, or a culture, or a room you were in at 22. That is not your definition. That is borrowed anxiety dressed up as personal ambition. Stop auditing someone else's highlight reel with your own behind-the-scenes footage. You are watching the final edit of their life and comparing it to the uncut version of yours. Every doubt, every slow month, every decision that hasn't paid off yet. It is the most unfair comparison imaginable. And you keep running it anyway, every single day, as if more repetitions will eventually produce a fair result. The real question this video was always building toward isn't why does everyone look richer? It's this. Are you building something real, quietly, consistently, on your own terms? Because if you are, even slowly, even imperfectly, even without a single person noticing, you are already ahead of most of what you've been measuring yourself against. If this conversation meant something to you, subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and come back. There is more. Now go. Stop performing wealth. Start building it.